everyone, it's me, author Alexandria Infante, coming to you today with a new review. Okay, so on this lonely coronavirus almost weekend, all of the stuff that's going on right now, they've actually enacted, I believe, curfews. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to look that up because my mom sent me a text message saying that we were supposed to be on lockdown here in California, I believe. So I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to look that up to see. I tried looking it up, but like when I went to LA Times and stuff, they want you to disassemble your pop-up thingy, and yeah, I wasn't feeling that, so I was like, I'll find it somewhere else. But anyway, so we have a new review tonight, and so I'm going to try to keep these reviews on point and on tap during this time so you guys can have something to watch out there, and you can pick up some good books. So even if I have to substitute days with regular Amazon reviews, then I'll go ahead and do that too, because there are a lot of books going on out there free right now, because I know we're doing the book fumble freebies too, and then it's like every time you turn around now, someone's doing a quarantine freebie. So basically, I think if nothing else that comes out of this coronavirus outbreak or pandemic that's good is people are freaking reading. So I'm like, because people literally stop reading. Like the libraries are, American libraries were in danger of being shut down. And I'm telling you, a lot of libraries have already closed their doors. So if nothing else came out good from this terrible epidemic, at least libraries are getting some business again, whether it's online or, in person. That part I'm glad for, because come on. You're never too old to learn. And I really take that heart stock. Like my daughter's going off to college this year, and I will probably re-enroll myself in some master classes to even like pump up my master's degree even more now, because of the fact that I'll be by myself. I'll be doing me. And so basically that would give me an opportunity to teach so many other fields, because my dream, just having a little share time here right now before we get into the review. My dream is to teach overseas. I'm going for the TESOL so I can get certified to teach like in Italy or France, or because I'm a literature and English teacher. So that is that's what I have my major in. And then I have a minor in cultural anthropology, mythology, and then I have an AA in archaeology. So basically, I love school. Anyway, so that's my whole thing. I want to go, overseas and teach. So hopefully this pandemic will play itself out. And I'm so sad. And so my condolences to all the people who have actually lost family members. I mean, I'm missing my mom, but I'm so glad she's on lockdown, that no one can come into her nursing home. And then if they are an employee, every day they are screened, and their temperatures are taken and all that stuff. So they're really, really keeping our old people safe, and I'm so proud of and happy for that, because I'm not ready for my mom to go anywhere yet. I mean, she's 76. She can still get another 20, 30 years, especially for our family. My great-great-great-great-grandmother was a slave master's daughter on my mom's side, and she lived to be 116 years old. So we have some longevity in our family. So basically, I'm praying for that, So anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to touch base on that. And tonight's review is by, like I told you guys yesterday, and then we'll talk a little bit more after the review is over. I'll have to take off my glasses. I can't see up close. So tonight's review is by author. Just one second. And I still have my stomach is still upset. I wonder if I got like a stomach virus or something. So I've been kind of dealing with that all for the last 3 days too. I have some antibiotics and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't do medicine. I really hate taking medicine. It's just not my thing, you know. I have to be in like a lot of pain in order to take like some pain medication or something like that. I'm just not I just don't like medicine. But anyway, so now tonight's author is author Lashell Collins, and the book is called, I really like this picture. Okay, now, where is this? Is this NYC? Yeah, because that's oh, hey, that's the Chrysler building. Awesome. Okay. But I didn't get that in the book. No, in the book, yeah, they're in Ohio. But is this Ohio? Wow. I didn't know Ohio looked like this. Kind of looks like NYC. But anyway. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. Okay, but anyway, here is the cover, and it's by author Lashell Collins, and the book is called Voices and Visions. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background about this book, this character. Okay, I took my notes to get my notes out. This book is actually my notes for my series and the stuff that I do, but I couldn't find any extra paper, so I just wrote them in here. Okay. So anyway, so the main characters are Sydney and Isaac. Okay, so Sydney she moves from I believe she lived in California, I believe so. I think she's a California person. Anyway, she lived in California and she decided to move to Ohio, and she took a medical billings job, or she basically sets up, offices, doctor's offices and all that kind of stuff, coding, that kind of stuff. And she took a job in that, and to basically run away from her past. And so she's in Ohio right now. And so she had to go to this doctor's office to pick up some like reports or something. I can't remember exactly what it was that the author says. She has to go pick up these reports and stuff from this doctor's office. And unfortunately, not knowing Ohio the way that she does, the way that she should, I guess, she drove down she took a wrong turn and she went down this street. And as she's going down this street, she's noticing that it's getting worse and worse. So she's basically like deep in the hood, right? And so she knows it's getting worse and worse. And so all of a sudden, these three guys run out of nowhere. And so like she throws on the brakes. The one guy falls to the floor, and then they double tap him to the head and the chest. And so she's just like, what the mother, block it, right? So she's sitting there like a deer in the headlights, which technically she is, and then the dude like raises the Glock to the car, and so she hits reverse and like backs up, and she starts flying. She tries to like fly out of there, but then she realizes she has no clue where she's going, and she winds up going up the road. It's a one-way street, so she winds up going up the road wrongly, and so she has to turn around and go back, and then she has to pass these dudes, and so they jump into the SUV and they start following her, and so she's just like freaking out, crying, screaming, because pretty much, they need to take care of her. And so she gets on the I-90, she gets on the freeway, and she loses that. And so she's pretty much like, oh my God, freaking out. She goes home, and she's still freaking out. And so she finally calms herself, and she's drinking wine or whatever. And so this basically puts her into the story. Okay, and so then the main male character is Isaac. He's a detective. And so he gets the call to this dude that's basically been double tapped in the middle of the street. And so he gets the call, and so he goes out there, and so he basically is, he's doing the round of the scene and all that stuff. And so he pretty much it's gangland. They automatically assume that it's gangland, because of the way that the scene was and everything. And then the guy that got shot, he's pretty much, I guess, a well-known, drug person or whatever. And so So like they wrap that up. He goes back to the office, does whatever little paperwork he needs to do, and then he like grabs some takeout, and then he goes home. And so he's feeling kind of lonely, and he thought about like his ex-partner, and so he like decided to call him up and see how he's been, all this kind of stuff. And so he calls him, but unfortunately he dials the wrong number, and I guess you could say fortunately. He actually calls her, and so she's like, "No, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number." And they pretty much, it's the first time they have like a couple of words, and then he says, "I'm sorry to bother you," and he hangs up. And then he decides to try the number again. And then he calls again, and then it's her again. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I called you for a second time." So, and basically they have like a whole entire conversation. And so he feels like she needs to talk to someone at the time or whatever. And so they have a conversation, and then basically this becomes a routine for them. So now he's looking for this witness that saw this this deal go down. At the time he has no clue that it's her. And so they start having these conversations every day, where they're calling each other, talking to each other on the phone. And then one night they decide to have dinner together while they're on the phone and drinking wine. They're watching a movie, and it's sort of like their first date or whatever. And so after that, it's like he decides to ask her out on a real date. But in real life, she's doing her thing she does like the coding and all that stuff. So she's pretty much kind of like a hermit. And then you find out the reason why. The reason is that she's running from her ex-husband, who was abusive. And so her and Isaac go out on a date, like a real date. And so then you find out that Isaac is like, he's clairvoyant, you could say. Not necessarily a psychic, but he's clairvoyant through touch. So when he touches her through, like on the first date, he gets these images of her, but there's no pain. And so since he's been like 8 years old, it pretty much disrupted his life. He became an alcoholic because he couldn't deal with the power or whatever. And so this book is sort of like a contemporary paranormal, I guess you could say, because of the fact that he has this clairvoyant ability, and so it helps him solve cases and that kind of stuff. But he hates the word psychic, and he doesn't see himself as a psychic. And then everybody in the police department, they make fun of him and they talk trash about him, and they say like he's weird or whatever. And so it's because like he will go to these crime scenes, and like if he has to like double glove his hands, because if he doesn't, then he will get images even up to like the person's last minutes before they died, if it was a homicide or something like that. And so when he touches her, there's no pain. And then he sees image, and it's like he basically gets a precog where he actually sees the future instead of the past or the present like he normally does. So basically she's like an anomaly to him. And then they put her in witness protection, because after the date, he's like, she finally tells him the truth, or she tells him about her life. And then the fact that someone killed her cat, or the neighborhood cat that she was feeding, and they left it on the doorstep. And then she came in one day, and there was a glass of water on the counter, where she knew like she didn't leave that glass there. So she tells him all of that stuff, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go with you to file a police report." And so she's like, "Okay," and she agrees to all that. And so they walk outside after they had their first date. And it was funny because they talked on the phone all this time, but she had no clue that he was white, and he had no clue that she was black. So when they first met each other, they were just like, "Okay." And so he didn't have an issue, because the fact that because he has this clairvoyant ability that's through touch. He's never had a relationship with a woman, so he's had times to fantasize about all kinds of women. So he has no issue with the fact that she's not white, that she's African American. And so she felt a little awkward and weird, because she never dated a white guy before in her life, or she never went out like in an intimate setting like that. And so she felt kind of awkward at first, and then they They pretty much got over it, and so they go outside, and then so he calls like the station to get like some guys to come and watch her, pretty much drive her car back to the house, because he doesn't want her to stay. He wants to check out her house and all that kind of stuff. And not to mention the fact that he saw the premonition between him and her, so he already knows what's going to happen between them. And so the police, the two officers come, the one gets in her car to like drive it back, and then all of a sudden the car blows up. And so basically they automatically stick her on witness protection, because once he sees her license plate, it's part of the partial plate that the bum had given him. Like, he gave this homeless man bought him like some food, and then put him up like for a couple of days in a hotel to get like, he's like his CI. And so basically when he walked out of the restaurant, he saw the beginnings of her license plate. He started going into the scenario of like this hypothetical, and then finally she's like, yeah. And then so he automatically puts her on witness protection, and then basically I'm gonna stop there. Okay, so now I did have some issues with this book. Not so much issues. I don't want to say issues, because it was a good story. I just kind of felt like it's what Jen and I like to call an easy read, which basically means that it's a smooth read all the way through. And so if I had to say anything that was wrong with this book, there's nothing wrong with it. There were no typos. There was nothing like that. No grammatical errors. None of that. All of that was perfect. If I had to say, I was kind of missing that bang. That bang that's just like, oh my God, blah, 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 So it's what Jen and I like to call an easy read, that you just read it all the way through. But there was no, there was an arc to the story, but it wasn't like a bang arc. You know what I'm saying? So this is a book that, you could read on the train, like if you have a long distance to go, because it's an easy read. So there's like, if you got to your stop, you would probably pretty much close the Kindle and then go home and then get you a glass of wine and finish it. So I don't want to say, I don't know how exactly to describe it except an easy read, because it flowed all the way through. And I just felt like I was missing that bang that would have like threw me into the story, where I was like, oh my God, no he didn't. Oh my God, I didn't get any of that. And so that would be the only issue that I would have with the book, that it was just an easy read. It just went all the way through, and I was missing that bang, especially because of the fact that it was, that he was a detective and he was a clairvoyant. I just missed that, that would have just threw me into the story like even more. So if I had to gauge or label this book, well, not label. If I had to not gauge it, but to star this book, I would star this book a 3.25. So like a 3.25, because I was just kind of missing that, the oomph. I mean, it's a good story, which is why it gets a 3, but it's just like that that should have been there, that would drive that book, over to that where you can't put it down, It was that, unfortunately, that was missing. And so, but it's a good story, and I feel like the author could do so much more with it to give it some more oomph. But she gets a solid 3.25 because of the fact that it was a good story. I just felt like that, whatever that should have been to drive that book up to a 4 point, it was kind of missing. So, and that's pretty much it. I like the characters. That's why I feel like it could have been, very, very, there could have been like some real oomph to it. Now, this is more, this book is not really a romance, so I'm not exactly sure how the author is labeling it, and that's fine with me, because I don't always have to read romance. Like, I don't write romance either, so I totally get that. I write paranormal with some romance elements thrown into it. But I don't want readers to go out there thinking that this is a romance, because it's not. Well, at least to me, it's not, because there is a romantic interlude in the book, and the tension is there between the two characters. Like I said, I like the characters. I like Sydney, and I like Isaac, and I just feel like there could have been more, more oomph between them. I know, like, the author wanted to develop the story, and she did develop the story. I just feel like there was still that, that whatever that is was still missing from the story arc itself. So, I mean, it's a good story, and she gets a 3.25. It's just like whatever that was that I needed to cement that book to where it was like, oh my god, I could not put this freaking book down. It was kind of missing for me. So that's why she gets the 3.25, but the book is still good. So I want you guys to go out and get it. And now, it's, in my opinion, it's not a romance. It's a good story with romance elements to it. And to me, that's perfectly fine. I don't know. I like to say that because, like, the author that we did yesterday, I felt like she wrote a good story as well, and she put in a romance element. And so when the reader went to get the book, the reader thought it was a romance. And so he or she, because I don't know if it was male or female, they got pissed off because they said there was no love and sex in the book, or I guess to their degree. And so they gave her a 1 star. So I'm not exactly sure if the author tonight, Miss Collins, if she wants to label her book as a romance or just a contemporary story, because if she does women's fiction, then people won't expect there to be, a sex scene or romance or like heavily on romance. Because the contemporary that I do write, it is labeled as romance because of the fact that the way that the characters are, and there are several interludes between the characters. Like Arlee's books, I'm not sure you label those romance. Like sex escapades to me, but because of the fact that all of her characters wind up having a happy ever after at the end, and they actually get into a relationship. You got some secret babies going on there. I'm assuming that's what puts her into the romance genre. But and I write mystery and suspense. So I write a series that's called Grave Reviews. And basically what happened is this woman who does reviews for the Times, New York Times, my character Hannah, she gets basically sent a tongue in the mail and a whole bunch of other like stuff, because the person's pissed off because she's like this really scathing reviewer, and she just talks trash about people's books and life's works all the time. I wrote that book because I got a scathing review from a person on Goodreads, and I made the mistake of commenting on the review, and it wasn't so much the review itself, it was that someone had said something about me, the author, and I commented to that. And I don't know if I've told you guys that they shut my website down for 2 months straight. They crashed it because I, the author, made a mistake of speaking to a Goodreads lord. So that's why I effing hate that site. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So I made the mistake of saying, well, okay, maybe you shouldn't have read the book. And that was like, it was a S-storm. And for 2 months straight, they would crash my website because they thought it was funny. They would mark all my books with a 1 star. It took me like a year and a half to recover from that when I was an author like way up here, because that's when I was with my publishing company, and my publishing company tried to like, trash the trolls and all of that stuff. And so I was up here, and it took me 2 years. And one of the reasons why too that I went, I decided to go indie because I felt like it was just too much drama for my company. And then Kim and I had some words, too. So basically, and then in 2015, I just decided to go indie. But yeah, so this is why you have to label your stuff correctly, because if you don't, there are some trolls out there who will just rip you to shreds. And so basically, I kind of feel like this book was more of a women's fiction. Women's fiction. So basically, if you label your book women's fiction, then people won't expect that. You won't get a star review like the woman got last night. I mean, the author got last night, because someone was upset because there was no sex in her book. And it's like, really? Come on. Are you that childish? Read something else then. You could at least have given the author, the benefit of the doubt, or you could have merited her on her story, not the fact that there was no sex in the book for you. So anyway, so my whole point is that this was a good read. I just feel like there was something missing from it, whatever that is, that needs to pop to get me to be more, that would have brought me further into the story, like I kind of wish I could have been. And so she gets a solid 3.25, and I would really love to see just that world pop a little bit more. And that's pretty much it. My review for tonight. Thanks bunches. Well, so now tomorrow we will be reading la 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 la. Just a second. Tomorrow is Friday. Remember, guys, and Fridays is everything day. So tomorrow we will be reading Forgotten Fates, Part 1 by S.J. Dorn. Here is the cover, but this says Part 2. So Jen probably didn't send me Part 1, so I'm probably going to have to send her a text message. So, but anyway, but this is what we will be reading. I'm not sure if it's 2 parts because I haven't started it yet. This is what I will be reading tomorrow. Unless it's a YA, because I don't know exactly what it is. She just sent it to me. So if this is a YA, then I won't be reading it. Jen will be reading it, because remember, I don't read YA. Like I reviewed SKs, but that was only to like get the channel started. I'm not a YA person. I don't read. I mean, I love comic books. But still, comic books are adult. I love manga. I don't really read reverse harem manga unless it's adults, because I'm not into the teen reverse harem, which is like huge anime. Yeah, it's just a little freaky for me. I just not my thing. So I don't read YA unless it's like kids. If it's like kids, like Sandlot type, Harry Potter, because I read Harry Potter up to book 6, but then once they started having all the relationships and stuff, yeah, that wasn't my cuppa. So basically, I watch the movies, because the movies they don't really do any of the relationship stuff. I'm just not into the teen stuff. It just makes me feel awkward. Sorry, I don't know if that's weird. Probably because I'm a parent. I'm a mom, so I don't want to think about my kids in that way either. So, not my cuppa. So, but anyway, like I said, if it's a YA, then Jenna will be reading it. If not, it will be me. And so that is who we will be reading tomorrow. And then on Saturday, I will also fill in a book. More than likely, I'll stick in one of my housemates, because that's supposed to be their day in the first place. Coming back on Thursday, what did we come back on? Tuesday. Coming back on Tuesday was sort of like a fluke. I didn't have the transition between Sunday and Monday with all of the chaos and almost getting hit in the face for some paper towels and just all that stuff. I didn't get that chance to actually read. So we're kind of like missing a day Actually, we would be missing 2 days. So tomorrow, that's who we're going to read, and then on Saturday we're going to do one of my housemates, and then Sunday, because we have no YA author, unless that's YA, we have no YA author, I'm going to actually stick in an adult review. So we will be reviewing one of the submission authors on Sunday this time, because I don't actually have, unless if I find a YA that is actually doable for me, or if it's one that Jen has already read herself or she's reading right now, then normally what she'll do is she'll type out the review and then she'll send it to me, because remember, Jen has social anxiety, so she's not coming on this channel. And then my Jangular daughter, she's been going crazy with work and now she's about to be furloughed to home, to where she's going to be working from home. And like I said, I'm at part-time, and then with today, now they're saying that California's saying that every major hub needs to be closed. I don't even know if I'll be working next week. So thank the Lord for savings. But that's pretty much it. And so, but on a happier note, please subscribe. Make sure in your time of quarantine, you pop on over here and watch these reviews, and watch some of the other reviews that are down there. I think we have upwards of 50 authors now. And even if you take out my housemates, which technically that's kind of not fair because they're still authors, I believe we have upwards of 50 authors down there. So you guys pop on over here and watch those videos, because we're trying to get the channel to be recognized by Facebook. And they won't do that if we don't have if we don't have the members or the subscribers or the hours. And so we're trying to get, in order for this channel to be recognized, we need 1,000 subscribers. And then that basically puts us out there to where everybody sees us and everybody sees your video as well. So if you have housemates, roommates, children, or like teen kids, family, friends, tell them to come on here and subscribe to the channel to watch your video too. And then basically what happens is all of these videos start going out to everybody, and then we pick up the subscribers, like people who have, 1 million freaking subscribers on YouTube. I would settle for 1,000 at least, and then that means that's 1,000 people that get to see your books. So that's monetary gains for you. So if you have family members, friends, or whatever, tell them to come on over and subscribe to the channel, and then click that little bell so every time we upload a video you will get it. And that's pretty much it for tonight. Peace and love, and thank you guys bunches, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.